Hi everyone, this is your tutor Val. It's a continuation. This video is a continuation of Excel functions and formulas. I'm going to go a little bit more detail into it. I think let me open the spreadsheet which we used in the last video. I think last time we were looking into the sum, how to add values, or using a sum function to add values. Also we used multiplication, how to multiply two cells, or how to divide two cells. So basically we did all the arithmetic functions such as addition, subtraction, multiplication and division in the last session. And in this session, which is going to be going through some basic functions, actually inbuilt Excel functions such as average, max, min, count and count A. So we'll go through everything one by one. So we'll start with the average price per item. Okay, here to do the average, I'm just going to calculate the average value of these items, the 8 items. So to do that, in this cell I'm just going to type equal, just say average, open the bracket, and then you give the range. The first cell will be C5, or I can probably drag from here to here, that is C5 to C12, and I close the bracket and I press enter. So on an average, each item is going to be costing me £3.41. That's what average means. And an average out of 8 items, what is the average price of an item? It means, and on average, every item is going to be costing me roughly like close to £3. Yeah. So, or we can do another one, average price for all quantity. Like we have all item here, but for different quantities, and we want to calculate, we can do the same thing actually here as well. So I'll just say average, open the bracket. I'm just going to find the average of these values here, which is under the price for all quantity and column E. So if I do that, it's exactly the same thing. On an average, every item for the quantity we purchase is going to cost me like £13.24, £13.24. If you do £13.24 times 8, you should probably get the same total as the answer. So that is the average. That's how you calculate average. The next one is how to use the count functionality. So if I count function is something like, if I want to select these items, like from here to here, I know the count is 8. That's only 8 items, but imagine you have 8,560 items. So how do you do it? So all you have to do is to count items which are usually in words. So what you can do is here you just say equal count A for apple, because I'm going to count the words, number of words you have. I select these items from B5 to B12 because I want to see how many products are there. We already know it's 8, but I'm just going to see. We have B5 to B12, and if I press enter, we know it's 8 items, not £8. So we need to change this to not pound, a regular number. So which means to do that, I click on it and go to number, and I just say number and no decimal places. Okay, and I don't need the pound. So we know there are 8 items from this list. That's all it means. But if I use the same formula to count a different column, we want to see how many items are there in this column. So to do that, if I say count A, open the bracket, the same formula I'm using, but it won't work. You will see why. And if I press enter, oh, it's working. So if I remove the word count A and then do it, still it's working. Okay, that's fine. So when it doesn't work is, let me just remove this one. I'm going to remove the decimal places. So when it doesn't work is, for example, in this to count the words. For example, if I'm using the count a function and if I press enter, it's returning me the value as 0 because it can't count the number of words because we didn't use the count functionality for word. So I'll probably say count a, we're using that function here. Here to count column C, we can use count A or count. Both, I think both works. It doesn't return as 0 because if you see here, we use count. Even if you use count A for this value, it still brings me the result. So only any column with the text in it, always remember to use the count A functionalities. So I just use count A for it, B to B5 to B12 and press enter. So that works actually, yes. So remember, count A functionality is to count the words, whereas count A or count function, which is to find the number of items in this column where there is no words, it's just purely numbers. It's calculating how many numbers are there. If I select them, we know it's 8 count, but we want to do it in terms of formula because imagine we have like over 1,500 items, so we can't be just dragging for the whole sheet for the 1,500. It's going to be difficult. Okay, the next functionality is we want to find out what is the minimum value of an item. So to do that, I think the functionality function we used is called min. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, so here I'm just going to say equal, I'm going to say min is the function minimum, open the bracket. I want to see from the data from here to here, which is C5 to C12. I'm going to close the bracket. I want to see which one is the least item with the least value. So the least value is 62 pence. The same applies. Let's say I'm just going to drag the thing down from here to here and change the word minimum to maximum value of an item, but here we are using the function called max. So we want to see which item is the which the value of an item which is more expensive. So same, max is the function max, and then from here all the way from C5 to C12, and I close the bracket, and then the expensive item is going to cost me like £6.80. The cheapest one is 62 pence. The expensive one is £6.80. So that's a min function where you can see the formula here, whereas this is the max function, which is C5 to C12. So today I think what we saw how to find an average of any given data, which using this formula, average, open the bracket, and the range like you do in sum. It's almost similar. Whereas count A function is to count the words in the given column. So count A, and I give a range, and I know there are 8 items from the list. Whereas if I want to count the numbers in the column, I use just count or a count A function with the same range. It's going to give me not same, sorry, for this one we used B, column B, and for this one we're using column C because this has only numbers. So we want to see how many numbers are there. There are 8 items here. That's all it means. And the minimum and maximum you're using the minimum of the given range, which is 62 pence, and the maximum of the given range is £6.80. So any question, just please leave a comment, or if there is anything I need to improve, or if I have to go a little bit slow, just let me know. Thank you so much.